Almost a year ago, I bought a pair of mandarine vampire crabs, and they were extremely hard to find. But luckily I managed to find a male and a female, and my plan was to breed them and have a lot of babies. So I built them an islandscape Paludarium with a waterfall. But then sadly the male passed away after only a few days. Naturally I was devastated, so I decided to preserve his remains in the window of death. But then one day when I was cleaning the tank, I noticed a small creature moving around amongst the rocks. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a baby vampire crab. He was barely bigger than a grain of quinoa. But as they grow to become adults, they can no longer live in this small space anymore. That's why I'm going to build them a new home. I started by adding a leveling mat to the bottom of the tank. I then added a temporary light. I proceeded by cutting filter foam, stacking two pieces on top of each other and began carving. I laid out some additional pieces of foam to the bottom of the tank with the locally sourced rocks to sit on. This will eventually become the land area. Before I started this project, I took down another one that wasn't serving me anymore. The idea was to make a nano tank with a cavescape. I had some other plans for this nano tank, so I took it down. I wanted to reuse the cave for today's build, so I carved a piece of foam for it to stand on. I added a small filter just to have some flow in the water. To stop the substrate from falling into the water, I added some weed fabric and wedged it in between the rocks. This is the layout that I'm going to go with. We're going to have small rocks here in between substrate covering all the blue foam, building up towards the land area. If I pour substrate on top of the land area, everything will just fall off here and into the aquatic section. I want to build like kind of a barrier that holds the substrate in place. I used aquarium safe silicone to secure the cork bark and let it cure for 24 hours. I filled the gaps in between the rocks with some filter floss. I then added aqua soil from the nano tank to the bag. This will be filled with good bacteria and nutrients for the plants. I capped that off with some gravel and sand. The next step would be to add broken pieces of this oak stone all along the gaps here inside the cave as well. So I'm gonna go out in the garden and smash this. Okay, so it's now the next day, the silicone has cured. My camera yesterday decided to die. Nothing has really happened, I just added a few rocks and I removed the sponge, this one, the sponge cave, because I don't think it's gonna hold. Instead we just put some rocks here, I think it looks more natural. I went to the hardware store and got some more glue. So today I'm gonna glue a lot of rocks here, because I don't like the look of this cork bark. I'm fairly new to this hobby and I struggle a lot with this part. I thought I could just super glue the box straight onto the cork bark, but that didn't work. So I grabbed filter floss with my super glued hands and it was a disaster. Yeah, very good idea, Alberto. What if we silicone it? Silicone wasn't a good idea. I was losing my patience, my hands were all destroyed, but then I stumbled upon the paper towel and super glue technique. And finally things were coming together. Okay, so it took me 2 hours to do this. It was actually harder than I thought. Look at my fingers, they're all full of super glue and rocks. But yeah, I'm really happy with what I did here. I'm very new to this hobby, so it was very hard for me to figure it out, but trial and error is the key. I really like this piece of wood here. Now it's time to add substrate to the land area. And for that I'll be using a mixture of cocoa fiber, sphagnum moss, sand and catappa leaves. With the substrate in place, I could now fill water up to this line. To jumpstart the cycling, I took a sponge from a filter of an already established aquarium and squeezed it into the water section. This will be filled with beneficial bacteria. With the filter installed, I could now start planting. I'm going to steal this fern and some pothos from Leo's tank. I grabbed some Tradescantia zebrina from the temporary crab tank. And some moss from the garden. These little beasts are called springtails and will serve as a cleanup crew. I added some crushed dragonstone to the water section to add some detail. Finally, the new light has arrived. I did water changes regularly, and this paludarium is soon ready for its inhabitants. But first we need plants in the water. Here in the cylinder we have some moss that I'm gonna steal. I went to the old crab tank to steal some Anubias and some Busa philandra. This is the OG shrimp tank. I call it OG because this was my first tank ever. Here are some red root floaters that I'm gonna steal. Anubias and Bus are both epiphytes, meaning they shouldn't be planted in the soil. Instead, they should be wedged in between rocks and branches. They can even be superglued to a rock. wanted to conceal the filter, so I went over to Leo's tank to harvest some Limnophila. Limnophila is a fast-growing stem plant and will do the job just fine. Finally, I went back to the OG shrimp tank to get some Ludwigia Palustris Super Red. My girlfriend had a brilliant idea of expanding the land area. To build on top of the cave with expanding foam and rocks to create more land for the crabs. So I took out the cave and this is what I came up with. Unfortunately, the footage of me building it was lost. I added substrate and moss to it and the tank is now complete. Which means we need to take down the old crab tank. First I remove the plants. After that I catch the shrimp and started to acclimate them slowly to the new tank. I then remove the rocks, making sure not to crush any crabs. I use the spoon to scoop out the baby crabs. I was shocked to find so many baby crabs. Unfortunately, some of the footage was damaged. But if you take a closer look at this picture, there's at least 20 crabs. I added the crabs to the new Paludarium, and it was amazing to watch them explore their new home. This one jumped in the water straight away. Vampire crabs are known to be excellent escape artists, and I didn't have a lid for this tank. So I asked my dad to make me one out of plexiglass. He designed it in the CAD software, uploaded the information to the machine, and the machine made its magic. want to give you a quick tip. Do not let Tradescantia zebrina get out of control. In the next video I'll give you an update on this tank and also on the crabs. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss this one. Have a good day or a good night. Peace.